Welcome to Feeling Seen, the podcast about the movies and the characters that make us feel seen. I'm Jordan Crucchiola. Today, my co-host is Carmen Emmi, a new director who's starting off with a bang. I got a chance to see his feature debut, Plainclothes, when it premiered at Sundance back in January, and now it is in theaters across the country. It was one of my favorite things that I got to see there, actually. It stars Tom Blythe and Russell Tovey, whose role on HBO's Looking is part of what elevated him to gay icon status and an icon personally in the heart of Emmi himself. We will talk about that movie and a film that made a big impact on Carmen when he saw it as a kid. It is another Sundance premiere from back in 2006, Little Miss Sunshine. Writer-director Carmen Emmi's new film, Plainclothes, is out, and I got to see it at Sundance, and I was so taken by it. I've been thinking about it for the months on end that have elapsed since then. But Carmen, what else do the people need to know about you before we get started here today?
Hi, thank you. I love movies. I'm from Syracuse, New York. It's where we shot the film. And I am about a week away from the film opening in theaters, which is wild.
I've kind of always wondered, what is that like when there's a Sundance premiere and it's like it's Sundance and Jesus, oh my God. And
Yeah.
you've spoken specifically about what the dream of opening a film at Sundance was for you. And you get a premiere and you get an introduction. Kim Yutani was the one who was like, I will be setting up your film for you when the night you premiere it. And then you go through all this and the magic of the festival in Park City. What is it like 9 months later to be like, your film's coming out again, Carmen?
It's so wild. Yeah, because Sundance I really do consider the premiere in a lot of ways, but it's still it's interesting. Like I feel like I've been with this character. The main character's name is Lucas, and I feel like I've been with him for the past 7 years, 7 or 8 years. Like he's been alongside me, and I've been feeling like that throughout Sundance and through the festival circuit. But now, like opening next week is the first time I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a door, and my character's about to like walk through it, and like it's kind of like I'm not saying goodbye because I don't feel like it's goodbye, but it is like a bit of a good luck out there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like feeling, and so it feels really bittersweet. I've always wanted a movie to be in the movie theaters, so that's gonna happen, and it's a dream come true, and I'm trying to enjoy every minute and not be too stressed out, honestly.
You don't get to choose the time that the movie comes out, and compared to when you started it, and I feel like a fascinating arc about Plainclothes, which is the story of a young police officer in Syracuse, New York in 1997 who is put on an assignment essentially entrapping gay men who are cruising other men in bathrooms in a mall. And you can tell he's not feeling easy about this, though we might not be clued into why. And then he catches one of the men he is supposed to entrap, catches his eye, and thus begins a very fraught emotional journey for our main character of Lucas as he connects and disconnects and reconnects with himself and his family and this man who he's become just besotted by. Yeah. And I think you're writing this then in, like, not to be explicit, but it is a clear marker. Trump won. And then it's like, there's a whole other thing. And then we're like back in it when your movie comes out.
Right.
Which is it's like, if there was a time where you were working on this movie and you were like, wow, the world has changed so much. And then it comes the time of it coming out and it's like, fuck, we like sort of like hopscotch backwards on this one. Damn.
I know, it's so interesting because I got the idea in like 2016, which is right around the time. And so much had changed like during that time, and it was, I don't know, I set the movie in the 90s though, so
yeah, right.
In some ways it felt like, I don't know, I didn't have to like adjust the script really for the times that we were living in, which is I guess kind of sad, but
no, but I mean, thankfully for continuity and convenience that is the case.
No, it's wild. I mean, to be able to film that long, to be able to script that long, it's, you just want to get on set, but at the same time, you get to live with it. And I don't know if I'll get that kind of experience again unless I'm working on something like super low key, and I let it like kind of metabolize like I did with this, which I really loved. But I think the next one will probably be faster, I imagine. Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope you don't have to commit like like a half a decade to like everything you make,
I
just for the
know.
purposes of expediency. For I would imagine you have quite a few things on your mind that you would like to get to.
Yeah, I have a few ideas knocking around. I really wrote this. I mean, I wrote this to direct. I always wanted to be a director. I learned how to write out of necessity in order to get the opportunity to direct this. So I'm very open to directing things other people write and working with a writer. And now that I like have that experience of writing, I feel good about working with a writer because I've been in their shoes for a bit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I think that's important. Yeah.
Well, I will take us back to the Sundance link of this, which is
Yeah.
highly relevant to the character pick that you have brought to discuss as well, because that too, that is I would say one of the most darling Sundance darlings to have ever gone through the pipeline, multi-Oscar winner, Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah.
You have been such a patient audience. We have one more contestant, and then we'll be crowning our winner. Please give a warm welcome to Miss Olive Hoover.
I'd like to dedicate this to my grandpa, who showed me these moves.
Oh, that is so sweet. Is he here? Where's your grandpa right now?
In the trunk of our car.
Okay, well, take it away, Olive.
I've read you talking about how seeing Little Miss Sunshine for the first time was like an experience you had with your whole family, like in local mall theater, and that it lives as one of the best like movie going experiences you've had. So what was it about this? Was it 2006?
2006.
That it got its hooks in you?
Oh, well, I was 15 or 16 or something at the time. And yeah, we're actually going to be premiering Plainclothes in that theater, not even in that specific theater, but yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, no, it was one of those things where I was in a packed movie theater with my family. We knew nothing about the movie going in, and we just all got completely taken with the characters and the story. And I just think it was one of those things at that time, it wasn't that far from like 9/11.
No. The
it was
entire aughts were painted by the very broad brush of 9/11, the date on which we record today.
I know, wild. And so it was just one of those things where it was a movie that had a darkness to it, which made it feel real for like where we were at the time, because I think we were and are still struggling, from that traumatic event. And it's I feel like I just hadn't seen a movie that depicted like my experience like living in the middle class, really. I just found the characters so relatable. The KFC type thing for dinner, just the different personalities of the family, but they all kind of were like one character, even though they're all so different. And Steve Carell's performance, like I didn't know I was gay when I watched that movie. I think it was just deeply, deeply suppressed. But I remember feeling like I really, really got him. Like I understood his sassiness and his sarcasm, but I saw his heart, and it just, I think in a lot of ways, he reminded me a lot of me, and that was just really meaningful for me at the time. And my family and I, we just all love the characters, and we were all able to bond over it. And I think that helped me feel seen, in our family dynamic as well, which is, I think the movie can do that. It's like, it's perfect.
Olive? Dad, I want you in the car first.
I know, we know.
All right, here we go. Everybody push. All right. Here we go. Push. Okay.
I just want everyone here to know that I am the preeminent true scholar in the United States.
Come on, honey.
I'm putting it in gear.
Go, honey.
Come on. Come on, Olive, run. Come on. Cheryl, let's go. Cheryl. Slow down. Let's go.
Help him. Come on.
Come on, get in.
No one gets left behind. No one gets left behind. Outstanding, soldier. Outstanding.
It's a crazy movie to watch with the cast that it has. Alan Arkin, Toni Collette, Steve Carell, Greg Kinnear, Abigail Breslin as Darling Olive, Paul Dano as Dwayne, the disaffected self-imposed vow of silence son. It is crazy watching, being like, wow, this cast has been great forever. Like, and this was a cast that was already great. Like, this movie didn't discover this cast. It was quite the turn for Steve Carell. Like, it was kind of that Punch Drunk Love moment in the way that, like, Adam Sandler, like, added a different dimension to his career through that movie. It was a new way of viewing him. And there was something, like, watching it again, looking at him specifically, like, Things on the Aughts are an incredible time capsule of the place in which they came out of and our anxieties and imperfections and neuroses and perhaps homophobia, racism, and xenophobia that the time was laden with. But you watch this movie and Steve Carell's performance, I'm so impressed by, like, what feels like this such specifically, like, canonically gay way of, like, longing and finding the light in tragedy that comes through Frank. The performance just feels so, like, I feel like I can see, like, Frank's life before this movie and I can see it after.
Me
and
too.
He is so, at a time when playing a gay character was not necessarily de rigueur. Like, 9/11 made us forget, it feel like, the lessons of new queer cinema of the 90s in so many ways and sort of wiped that off the board. But Steve Carell delivers something so tender and layered through the performance of Frank.
He really does. Like, he plays, like, the heartbroken man so well. And just, like, you're right, that sense of longing that he brings to the character, I think, was just something that I felt really, really deep down and not totally fitting in, you know, to anywhere really, like, that we saw him in the movie, and, like, the people that he used to interact with, like his ex and, like, Larry Sugarman, or were, like, also, like, he also felt so different from them, and I can relate to that too, you know, in moments in my queer experience, you know. It's, I don't know, oftentimes I've had like a really wonderful time, but oftentimes I found myself and, like, others trying to, like, put you in boxes of, like, how you know, you're out and now this is how you have to act and this is how you have to be, and because you're this body type, and it's just like, so I got, like, how isolated he felt.
Sometimes I just wish I could go to sleep till I was 18. And skip all this crap, high school and everything, just skip it.
You know, Marcel Proust?
He's the guy you teach.
Yeah, French writer. Total loser. Never had a real job. Unrequited love affairs. Gay. Spent 20 years writing a book almost no one reads. But he's also probably the greatest writer since Shakespeare. Anyway, he gets down to the end of his life. And he looks back and decides that all those years he suffered, those were the best years of his life. Because they made him who he was. All the years he was happy, you know, total waste. Didn't learn a thing. So, if you sleep until you're 18, think of the suffering you're gonna miss. I mean, high school, those are your prime suffering years.
Well, and you said about like the depiction of a middle class family, and I found in reading interviews, getting ready to talk to you, I always find it, like, myself so moved about your emotional connection and how much you love Syracuse and what it meant to you to film your movie in Syracuse, where it is set. It's not masking for another location,
right.
And it is. I getting to have Trisha Cook on the show recently. We talked about the suburbs. And that is like a character in Honey Don't. And she brought But I'm a Cheerleader to talk about, which just feels like so much like the awareness of suburban malaise, like in its DNA, being so antithetical to the notion of like difference or queerness. And I wanted to hear from you talking about people of difference or people outside of a normative, experience or box, like, to love where you're from while still holding the tension of the challenges of where you're from within you, as somebody who, like, even if I didn't feel like it was quite my place where, like, I belonged, like, I love where I'm from. And still, when I go back home, like, there's a lot of explaining I think people would need from me to fully understand the scope of, like, why I left Canby, Oregon kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I really did do it for my younger self in a lot of ways. It wasn't always easy growing up there. I just think it wasn't easy growing up at that time. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if it was like necessarily Syracuse, but there were challenging parts of that. But I just wanted to really honor the place that raised me.
Hmm.
That's what I set out to do. Because yeah, even though it was challenging, there's still a lot of beautiful things that I love about it, and it's where my great grandparents started
Hmm.
their farm,
Hmm.
and I've just always been so connected to it, and I've always wanted to fit in.
Hmm.
Growing up, I always just wanted to fit in there, and I was just always a bit different,
Hmm.
and I couldn't really explain why. But I did have supportive parents. I had to play sports, which was kind of annoying. I had to play like football, but I did community theater and things
Mm.
like that. Like my dad, like when I would do like Jesus Christ Superstar, my dad would like let me stay late, and so I could do bows with the whole cast and like really get to like be with other kids who love to do what I do, and that was really really important to me. And yeah, I love this idea of regional filmmaking.
Yeah.
I think it's really special. I think that there's a lot of people in Syracuse who may not necessarily have wanted to move to New York or LA, but they still love film, and I think
Hmm.
that it's really cool that they have that opportunity to have that experience now. And it's just, I mean, shooting there was amazing. We had 18 days, but it was like a
Hmm.
blast. It felt like summer camp. It was.
How did the experience of doing it and like finally getting to make a movie in this place in a very intentional way, like I wanted to make this for my younger self. I wanted to go to this place that perhaps I didn't fit, but I still had so much love for. How did the actual playing out of that those 18 days align with what you may have anticipated about it? Was it a surprise how it went for you? Or was it like, no, this is kind of how I had always like imagined things might go?
Oh, I mean, production. I feel like with production, pre-production, things will never go the way, or at least I don't know. I only did
No,
this
I think
once.
you're absolutely right. I think you can paint with that broad brush too. Like it
Yeah,
will never go
yeah,
how you
it will
thought
never
it
go.
will.
I remember, like in pre-production, I was like, "Am I okay? Like, is this what I want? Like, do I want this?" And I just feel a bit, I don't know. It's so bizarre because there's so many ups and downs in production where I'm
Yeah.
just like, you experience the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And yeah, I still think I just can't wait to get on set again. But yeah, no, I think it was what I would was expecting it to be. I was trained at USC for
Mhm.
film school, and so I feel like I was kind of prepared for a lot of like production woes or like pre-production
Yeah.
woes. We didn't have a lot of time, and I had to just throw a lot of plans out the window. Like our cinematographer that was attached, we had to move our dates because of scheduling, and he had to drop like a few weeks before production. So I had
Oh God.
a new DP came in. It was like
That's not a small thing. Okay.
it was wild. So yeah, it was what I expected, but it wasn't. Like I know how wild production can be, but um, yeah, I learned a lot about myself. I write for locations,
Okay.
and when a location falls through, that can really trip me up, especially when I was planning on it for like 6 years,
Hmm.
of shooting in a specific location. And then there
Yeah.
was like a month before, they're like, so you can't.
Okay.
And it's just, yeah, it's just stuff like that. That's like, but you just have to stay open, and you have to believe that everything is is as it's meant to be. And you kind of go with it, and you trust your script, and you trust your actors and your crew.
So you were now I've read you talk about too you like had a camera in your hand from a very young age. I think you've talked about like
Mhm.
10 years old and you started making little films with your friends and stuff at around like 14. And so watching by the time you're getting to Little Miss Sunshine, this is
Mhm.
like thinking of making stuff like making movies
Yeah.
is like already in your head. And so what how did this kind of like feed you or nurture you like when you're if you're already thinking about movies that time and you see this like what is it doing for the little baby filmmaker in you?
Oh, wow. Hmm. I mean, there's so many things about Little Miss Sunshine that I think for me specifically, I think it planted the the seed for like how important the script is.
Mm,
I
mm.
don't think I don't think before that I ever really focused on the script. I always focused on how it was shot or like the actors that were in it. And this, it was just like the dialogue was so good. The the story was so good. It like made me focus on that for the first time as a
Mm,
teenager.
mm-hmm.
And I went through waves where I was like, I could never write something like that. Maybe I could try. Oh no, it's like I'm not a writer. And I think that was like when it started was Little Miss Sunshine. And I'm really glad that I stuck with writing this. But it's I think that stayed with me, and the use of music in that movie. I was very I grew up doing musicals, and I thought I wanted to be in musical theater, like be an actor in musical theater, and but I like don't have a voice for musical theater. If I were to sing, it would be like folk or something. I don't know. Yeah, and I just remember that opening montage with that cue, "The Winner Is," and I still listened to "The Winner Is" like as I was getting ready for my premiere at Sundance.
The winner of a $30,000 scholarship is Miss Louisiana Erica Schwartz. And the new Miss America is Miss Kansas Tara Dawn Holland.
And it's just like one of those things where I really started paying attention to how the music can inform like the characters' inner dialogue and like also support the action. You know, that was not something that I ever really thought about when it came to making movies. I always just like edited montage, you know, and didn't think about it from a character point of view until I saw that movie. Yeah.
I feel like I sort of brace for, if I, like when I watch movies from the 2000s, like there's like plenty of like legitimately great movies from then, but I kind of like feel myself tensing when it's like, okay, so what is going to be regrettable now? Like not in like a, like throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of way, but like, I wonder what's going to age poorly about this movie. Right. And it's for something that feels like it was such a zeitgeist piercing movie. It feels like Little Miss Sunshine could have been one of those things that is so like feels so of its moment that like maybe when it aged it's like, wow, this is so 2000. No, you watch this movie now, and if this had premiered at Sundance 2025,
yeah,
it would. I feel like it is.
It would sweep.
Every bit is like perfectly stingingly tenderly beautiful now as it was then. And like that just like the older I get and like the more time I have to take in and consider things that I watched years ago when I was younger and then revisiting them when I'm older, and just the absolute magic trick that it is to be able to make something that truly stands as timeless is insane. It's insane. The ability to withstand time with how much things change and people change. Oh, God, it made me so happy watching it again.
I know. I watched it with my friend Susie in Syracuse, and I remember because she hadn't seen it, and I recommended it, and I was like, wait, I don't know if this aged well.
Yeah.
And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, it totally did. And I think it's because every character belongs in that movie. You know, every character kind of has an emotional purpose, and they all feel so three-dimensional. I think on the page. And then when you get like Toni Collette in there, like chain smoking, like trying to keep her family together, it's just like, yeah, I know exactly who that person is, you know?
Yeah.
You're the mom, and you're supposed to protect her. Everyone is gonna laugh at her, Mom. Please don't let her do this.
Olive Hoover, 2 minutes.
Look, she's not a beauty queen. She's just not. I'm gonna tell her.
No, Dwayne, you listen to me. Olive is who she is. She has worked so hard. She's poured everything into this. We can't just take it away from her. We can't. I know you want to protect her. I know, honey, but you gotta let Olive be Olive.
And I feel like that's something I read about your actors remarking about your script when and like because the story is not necessarily told in a totally orderly fashion. There are these interjections of like lo-fi camera work, and it's like at times we're sort of seeing like a waking hallucination or a dream kind of thing. Like we're seeing a kind of psychological state to like feel it seems like where our point of view character is. And I feel like I've read in multiple instances that your actors talking about how they could really feel that coming through the page. It wasn't like, now explain how this is going to work for me. Like it really jumped off for them how you had it in the script. And that seemed like a powerful motivator for the actors to be like, yes, I want to be a part of this. And I want to, is that a learned kind of craft, or like going for your first screenplay? Is it like, I'm just kind of intuiting my way through. I don't know what I don't know. And therefore I get to fuck around. I get to try some stuff.
Yeah, I was definitely just trying some stuff for sure. I also like wrote, I almost felt like I was writing it through Lucas's point of view. Like I would write in breaths and things like that. And I was pretty subjective in the descriptions. Like, I feel like I was doing things they taught me not to do,
Right.
like directing on the page. But I think that helped, especially since it was my first feature, so that they knew like what the vibe was going to be.
You're gonna direct, like,
Yeah,
it's your
yeah,
page.
yeah. And I think it helped me a lot on set too, because the actors came in knowing exactly like what the scene was and like what they, it's just funny because like Russell Tovey's first day of filming, it was like he was standing up against a projector was like kind of shining video footage onto his face, and I was in the corner of this dark office filming on a high 8 camera, and he was probably like, "What is going on?"
What in the student film am I doing here?
Yep, and I was like, "Just like
I am a gay icon."
I know, literally. He never questioned it. It's so funny because I'm watching like all my high 8 footage now to like be nostalgic, and I want to like edit a little behind the scenes video. And I was watching that clip like right before we came on, and it's funny because you see him at the start of the clip have that moment of like, huh. But then as it goes, he's like kind of like understanding, and he's just like in, and he was like, it's just like, I was so lucky with the cast. They
What a cast.
Everyone was just so dropped in, like so dropped in.
I've loved reading about you talking about Russell Tovey coming on and like having like an emotional connection to him previously, like from Looking being a really important show to you, and and how even like pitching the movie to him was like freezing inside. I wanted to hear about like coming into your own confidence and like when you started trusting like, wait, I'm fucking doing this. Like, and this is mine, and it's nobody's but mine. Like, I wanted to hear about kind of like a threshold that you could pass for yourself where it was like, if you never felt imposter syndrome, great. If you did, when did you like kick that aside and you're like, but we're in it and we've got 18 goddamn days and I'm the one.
I never really felt imposter syndrome, honestly. I always felt like this is what I'm meant to do.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I don't know I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I'm trying to let that go a bit because I find that like the moments that weren't perfect in the movie that weren't how I imagined initially, those are some of my favorite moments, if not my favorite moments in the movie. But yeah, with Russell, I was just more nervous about getting rejected. I was like, I didn't want to ask because I didn't want him to say no, and then I would never be able to like watch something that he's in again without feeling like that little like
the one that got away.
But my producer April sent him the script, and I don't think I knew that she sent it, and then I got a message like, Russell wants to meet you. And I think like things like that gave me confidence, like I was like, okay. I was like, and I knew I worked hard on the script. Yeah. But the fact that Russell, who was in like Tony Kushner's work, who was on Broadway, he was on the West End. The fact that he enjoyed the script, like I think I studied plays in order to like learn how to write, so that meant a lot to me. And I think I just didn't have time for imposter syndrome. I think it was like we had a few weeks to prep, and I was on set. Like if I needed to get the shots, so it was one of those things where I didn't even have time to think about it really. Yeah.
Well, and you say like you about writing for a place, and in this case, it seems like you very specifically ended up writing to a time, which was like not just the 90s, but 1997, and the formative nature of that, like sort of like a realization you had about like the perception of guys liking guys, of gayness and what that meant, as well as it being the year that another one of your absolute favorite movies, Titanic, came out. Yeah. And so I wanted to hear about 1997 for you specifically as a moment of important gay landmarks in your life, in one direction or another.
Oh, like me experiencing 1997 at the time, or me like looking back at
experiencing 1990, you in 1997, you experiencing Titanic, and you experiencing. I mean, I remember you talked about women in the store, talking about like Barbara Streisand, and like they're like, I think it's like she has a gay son.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like the positive gay experiences, because I was like, yes, I loved Celine Dion's "Let's Talk About Love" album.
I mean, that could be a part of this too. Absolutely.
I loved Shania Twain's "Come On Over" album, although I don't know if that was like 97 or 98. The moments where I clocked like that being gay was like bad or scary was I was in a grocery store with my mom and my brother, and the woman in front of us was like flipping around, like looked so angry and flipping around magazines in the aisle. And I was like, what is she doing? And I looked and I saw that she was flipping over a Time magazine. I think it was Ellen DeGeneres, announcing that she was gay. And I remember thinking that like gay was bad.
Oh yeah,
and
I'm gay cover.
Yep, I'm gay. Yeah. And like she was like shaking her head, like so angry. And I was like, oh my God, like I don't want to, that seems bad to be gay. And then I remembered I was at like some party as a kid where I was hearing adults talking about Barbara Streisand because my mom would put on Barbara Streisand movies. And so they were talking about her and they're like, her son is gay. And I remember like seeing one of the ladies react like, oh, like that's awful. And like one of them was like scared because like this was 97. So it was a few years after like AIDS had like, after that period was kind of ending, but that fear was still all over, especially in upstate New York. It was just, you feel like New York City was like, at this distance, but it was still like kind of like, oh, like you don't want to go down.
Like this, the shadow of the city kind of thing.
Yeah. And so I just always had that fear of being gay in like in a very real way from when I was little. And it's funny because I recently met someone who was born in like 95 and who he also grew up in Syracuse. His experience with queerness, I feel like is kind of similar to mine, but even those 5 years.
Wow, it makes a difference.
It's like with him, it's like prep would have come out like when he was a late teenager.
Yeah.
For me, it was like I was in my 20s. Like, so that fear, and I talked about this with Russell, it's like that fear like around being gay and around sex, like it really hit my generation like really, really hard. Not that it didn't hit the generation beneath me, but it's just like I feel like I grew up with that fear like instantaneously and it was so fresh and close to like the AIDS era. So I don't know, like that was a big thing in like growing up for me. Yeah.
I remember like I'm a girl growing up in like mostly farm town Oregon, and I remember like I was a brief period of time where I was like a hypochondriac child. It like didn't carry over for long, but it was there for a minute. And in that like I was so scared I was going to get AIDS. Like I was maybe 10 years old, and like the circumstances in which I would have been subject to contracting that would have been so far removed from my life. But like the idea of it and the pervasiveness of it and the deadliness of it, which is still a true thing that is kind of like on the DL, and AIDS has like made like terrifying resurgences in parts of the world. That's a whole separate conversation. But like the way that this was a certain death crisis in upstate New York, in like farmtown Oregon, it was a part of our lives in the way that I don't think the cloud sat over Gen Z the way that it perhaps sat over millennials. Not necessarily like an ignorance of it, but a cloud over your awareness. It's like forming your awareness of it.
And honestly, like in making this movie, I do feel like the cloud is kind of the clouds I feel like are parting a bit, but it took me a really long time. And it's just like something that I feel like, and I'm seeing it a lot, I do feel like there is a good understanding in the queer community that some people are, it's going to take longer for some of us to heal from that. And I think we just have to be patient and kind to each other.
It is time for a break, but I will be right back with more from Carmen Emmi. And then at the end, I will stick with our Sundance theme and offer one quick thing before we go about the soon to debut on Netflix documentary, The Perfect Neighbor, which is a must watch. And we will discuss a little bit about that at the very end of the show.
Hi, I'm Alexis. I'm one of the co-hosts of Comfort Creatures, and I'm here with River Jew, who has been a member since 2019. Thank you so much for being a listener and a supporter of our show.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah, right? As the Max Fun Member of the Month, can I ask what sort of made you decide to be a member?
I used to work at a library, so I just used to listen to podcasts while I reshelved all the books. Really helped with, doing reading at work. So I just wanted to give back to what's been helping me.
Yeah.
It feels good to be part of that.
As the Member of the Month, you will be getting a $25 gift card to the Maximum Fun store, a Member of the Month bumper sticker, and you also, if you're ever in Los Angeles, you can get a parking spot at the Max Fun HQ just for you.
Yay! I'm actually going to LA in September, so I'll get to use the parking space.
Thank you so much, River, for doing this. This has been an absolute blast.
Yeah, of course. I've been so glad to be able to talk to you too, and I'm so excited to be a Member of the Month.
Yay!
Become a Max Fun member now at MaximumFun.org/join. Hey everybody, I'm Jeremy.
I'm Oscar.
I'm Dimitri. And we are the Eurovangelists.
We're a weekly podcast spreading the word of the Eurovision Song Contest, the most important music competition in the world.
Maybe you already heard Glenn Weldon of NPR's Pop Culture Happy Hour talk up our coverage of this year's contest. But what do we talk about in the off-season?
The rest of Eurovision, duh. There are nearly 7 decades of pop music history to cover.
We've got thousands of amazing songs, inspiring competitors, and so much drama to discuss. And let me tell you, the drama is juicy.
Plus, all the gorillas and bread-baking grandmas that make Eurovision so special.
Check out Eurovangelists, available everywhere you get podcasts, and you could be a Eurovangelist too.
Ooh, I want to be one.
You already are. It's that easy.
Oh, okay, cool.
With having like your movie coming out in 2025, but it's set in 1997, and then talking about Little Miss Sunshine, where like when we meet Frank, Toni Collette, his sister, she is getting him discharged from the hospital where he is recovering from a suicide attempt, and they can't afford the hospital stay, so he has to come home, and they don't have a whole lot of rooms in their house, so he's staying with Dwayne. He's staying with teenage Dwayne in his vow of silence. And one of, like, when he starts just talking to the little child Olive at the table about, she asks what happened to your hands because his wrists are bound with the bandages. And he's walking through everything that fell apart in his life to just drive him into oblivion. And then he's like, but that was actually fine. And then she's like, and then you decide to kill yourself? He's like, no, that actually wasn't the part. And it all the way through, all the steps, the way he frames his own gate. And it's just like, and I had a grad student and I fell in love with him. And she's like, you fell in love with a boy? That's silly.
Why did you want to kill yourself?
No, don't answer the question, Frank.
Richard.
Don't answer it.
Richard.
He's not going to answer the question, Frank.
I wanted to kill
Don't listen
myself
to him.
because
Richard.
I was
He's sick.
very
He's
unhappy.
a sick man. He's a sick in his head man.
Richard.
But I'm sorry. I don't think it's an appropriate conversation for a 7-year-old.
Well, she's going to find out anyway.
Oh, okay.
Go on, Frank.
Why were you unhappy?
Well, there were a lot of reasons. Mainly, though, I fell in love with someone who didn't love me back.
Who?
One of my grad students. I was very much in love with him.
Him? It was a boy? And you fell in love with the boy?
Yes, I did. Very much so.
That's silly.
You're right. It was silly. It was very, very silly.
There's another word for it. Dad.
And so this is like, it is not a story of coming out. We have a character that announces their sexuality in that way on screen, and it is not overly greeted warmly at the table. Greg Kinnear's being a prick about it. And this is, and Plainclothes is not, I feel like in the rubric of coming out stories, this wouldn't necessarily be like the one you would automatically slot into it. This is a man who is coming to terms, but it's not a coming out movie. But I wanted to hear from you about, like, as an emissary of film in the queer community, where do you feel like we are with the coming out story right now? Because I've been thinking so much lately about, I remember when Love, Simon came out and how it was like, aren't we past these? That movie did gangbusters, super successful.
Yeah.
But there was a segment of gay people on the internet who were like, I don't need Love, Simon anymore. And in some ways I long for the simplicity of Love, Simon, and it being like the gripe of it being so palatable and successful that it like wasn't pushing queer people forward or like the queer experience forward. But like, we're in a different time than Love, Simon. I wanted to hear from you as somebody who is germinating on, making things and movies and characters and is coming out of this like beautiful and challenging story that is Plainclothes. What is the role of the coming out story for you personally now at this point? Or like, perhaps if you'd like to speak to a greater necessity or not, feel free to expound.
I feel like we're always going to have coming out stories. And I feel like that person who said that we don't need them anymore, like we're past that, like that might be true for them and that's awesome.
Right.
But there's probably someone in middle America who needs this story, who needs to see it. I get on Instagram in the DMs, I like every day or almost every day, it's like someone telling me how much the film meant to them and how it helped them cope with a secret that they had. Not even necessarily being queer.
Yeah.
Like it's coming out of something.
Yeah.
I think people will always have secrets. I mean, the goal of Plainclothes is I want people to police their feelings less. So I'm hoping that it just makes things easier for people to know that they're not alone and to know that they don't have to suffer in silence. But I think that everyone does have a secret, and I think as long as that happens, we're gonna have coming out stories. You know, it's just, I think they're important. Yeah, and it was a very therapeutic experience for me, and I think that it also can be therapeutic for and help heal people in some ways. Yeah.
There's so much that robs us of joy. I'm kind of like, God, if we can steal joy where we can. And that is a thing that I really liked about Plainclothes, is that for the heaviness and the kind of like the sort of twisting that it can do of you as you watch it, because it is like, it's so fraught what Lucas is going through. And the lead performances of this movie are just so good. Everybody's so good. And you're right in the house with them, and you're right in the kitchen with them. And you're just feeling what they're going through as a family and as individuals. But like the like final look that you see of this movie, like it feels like a bit of triumph and possibility. And I'm just holding that right now. And it feels like, if coming out stories can offer triumph and possibility, then lay it on thick. Lay it on thick right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've seen a lot of sad endings, and this is kind of, this ending is kind of sad, but it's not
the lightest.
It's not the lightest, but I that was a big thing for me, was I didn't want like a complete tragic, ending. I just have seen it, and it was also really important for me for the female characters in the movie. It was very important for me that I didn't, especially like Lucas's ex-girlfriend. I didn't want her.
Oh, what a good character.
A good.
I really loved that thread. I really liked.
She's based on like an actual person who was so kind to me during my coming out experience, who I thought I had a crush on her, but I didn't, and she like kind of knew, but she never like forced me out of it.
Yeah.
She was just always very kind, and so I wanted to write a role for her to honor her. And I in so many queer films, it's always like the husband is out with a guy, and his partner, who is a woman, is at home, is like, where are you? Like, my life is over, when she finds out he's gay. And it's just like, I didn't want that. I didn't want that, because it's not my experience, and I feel like it's kind of a disservice to the women in my life who were so supportive of me. And yeah.
Well, I guess taking us toward a concluding sentiment, I wanted to know, with a film so sort of laced with you, and one that took so long and was the kind of the screenplay you learned to write a screenplay creating, where do you find, kind of in this new stage, as your child's about to go out the door, like, the off to college kind of thing, where do you find, like, now that you've written something and you're going on to create more, what do you find is kind of animating you creatively for the person you are now, perhaps compared to the person that you were when this whole thing started back in your 20s?
I mean, I think I'm doing a lot of thinking about queer relationships I found myself in, either while writing this movie and releasing it, thinking about those experiences, thinking a lot about like availability, and I think I'm thinking a lot about like still anxiety, like what my anxiety, because I don't think with Plainclothes, like, it was a look at my anxiety, like kind of straight on, and I really wanted to find a way to show anxiety and feel it on the screen, but I'm still finding that my anxiety in some ways like is a barrier, and I really want to work through that, and I think that a lot of my writing is a bit related to that. I don't think that I don't know if I have it in me to make something as like intense as Plainclothes next. I think I want to do something a little bit maybe lighter. And what I learned through making Plainclothes is like I really am a romantic, like at heart, and I didn't think I was. Like, I didn't set out to write a romance, but that was kind of like revealed to me through watching Russell and Tom perform it. It was like, oh, like I want love, like that. I want that. And like the main, like Lucas as a character, Tom even said to me, he's like, he really wants love, but he's not getting the love that he needs. And then I was like, are you saying that to me? Or are you saying that to Luke?
You stop that. You stop talking to me right there.
Yeah. And so I think it's like, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of like where my head's at with where I want to go. I do think I want to write something romantic for sure, because I am kind of in that head space right now. But yeah, it's I feel so lucky to get to channel these thoughts into scripts like this. And so I do want to take my time with it, but I also, I can't wait to get on set again. So.
Well, congratulations on,
Thank you.
First shot off the tee, hole in one, the Sundance premiere, the banging cast, the Kim Utani introduction, the rollout
Legend.
in theater. My God.
I know Magnolia's releasing it. It's like
unbelievable.
Unreal. It's
Unbelievable
unreal.
kickoff, and I hope you are existing and relishing every part of the triumph. And thank you so much for spending some of your time to talk to us today on the podcast. I truly appreciate it. Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much to Carmen Emmi. Plainclothes is in theaters now, so you know what I'm going to say. Go support independent cinema. And watching Carmen's, like I said before, post-show Q&A when Plainclothes premiered was such a special and emotional walkthrough and tribute to his love for this movie, his love of making movies. And you just can't ever take it for granted when someone gets to, a young filmmaker, especially a new filmmaker, new feature filmmaker, gets to make sort of the project of their heart. So get out there and encourage people to buy and produce and distribute these things by going to check it out in theaters. And now, again, staying on the Sundance tip, that one quick thing before I go, Plainclothes it's an emotional movie. Like it's intense. And I'm gonna suggest another movie now that is coming up that is one of the most harrowing and gripping things that you will have the option to see this year. It is coming out on Netflix on October 17th. It is a documentary. It is called The Perfect Neighbor. It won the Sundance Film Festival's Directing Award when it premiered in January. And it is the story of a murder in a neighborhood that is the culmination of a months-long extended, basically, harassment campaign of a white woman who persistently goes after, persecutes, harasses a black family that lives, I think it's just across the street from her, I believe is how she's located near her in this movie, in life, and how this movie, God, it's just, I've never seen anything like it. The movie is entirely real footage, and we begin the night of the tragic culminating event, but immediately after we see that, the movie throws us into the prolonged period of body camera footage obtained from police officers who were called repeatedly over and over and over again to this neighborhood by this angry woman who was taking out some sort of vendetta. I mean, it's great. Like, I don't want to, it's like talking about it. It's weird to be like, oh, I don't want to spoil it because it's a documentary. It's based on real things. This isn't, narrative fiction sensation, but it is, again, watching the entire story play out, even though you know how it's going to end, watching it play out only through, truly the most sort of objective point of view that could possibly be is just these body-mounted cameras on and occasionally like a kind of like ring cam kind of setup, like seeing from someone else's house what's going on. The tension that this builds in telling an all too American story of racially animated violence and bias and harassment in a community that is otherwise very close-knit with one another with the exception of this one outlier terrorizing neighbor. And you become immersed and you become lost in this footage as you're viewing it. And it is such an innovative and fascinating way of watching a true crime play out in a way that feels exactly as incisive and gripping as it needs to be without feeling like it is exploitative and cashing in. And at the premiere at Sundance, the family was there, who is like the family who lost a member in the events of this film. I want everybody to sort of go in with as clear a head as possible, so I don't really want to say too much about who they are or what happened, but they were there with the filmmakers to speak on gun violence, to speak on their experiences with racism, their experiences with law enforcement. It was so powerful. I mean, just one of those environments where everyone in a room listening to people talk is absolutely breathless, just truly a pin drop kind of environment, with the reverence and respect for this family that was demanded when watching them share their story with a rooms full of people. But yeah, it will be on Netflix, which, we want movies in theaters all the time. The thing about Netflix is that it goes everywhere. And so I hope this being on this giant ubiquitous platform means that it will be in as many homes as possible, on as many carousels for recommending movies as possible, and that it gets pushed in front of the eyeballs of millions and millions of people who need to see it. Yeah, it just really, I know I'm kind of stammering through this, but it takes your breath away. So I cannot recommend enough The Perfect Neighbor, another of the Sundance class of 2025, just like Plainclothes, by our guest today, Carmen Emmi. And that is it. That is the whole show. We did it. And by the way, Feeling Seen is participating in Vulture's Movie Fantasy League as part of the Maximum Fun Mini League, and you can play too. So if you go now and pick your fantasy movie lineup over at vulture.com, we will put a link in the show notes to that. And that's it. That's all the housekeeping. You can keep up with us wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us wherever you are listening now to get new episodes in your feed as it drops. Follow us to find out more on Instagram. We are at Feeling Seen Pod. We are also on Blue Sky. Just search Feeling Seen. And if you want to follow me, I am Jorcrew on Twitter, and pop over into Blue Sky every so often. And our theme music is by Andrew Epen. The show is produced by Marissa Flaxbart. Our senior producers are Kevin Ferguson and Laura Swisher, and this is a production of Maximum Fun.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows,
supported directly
by you.